Hello and welcome to the podcast Digital Health Innovations for Long Life. Clinical research is one area where digital health technologies are widely being implemented. And today we have with us an interesting personality, Mr. Mujeeb, CEO of Clinisol, a company that's based out of Hyderabad. He is also an ex colleague and a good friend. Let us talk to him about all the things digital health is actually doing in the area of clinical research that is happening today and what could potentially happen tomorrow also. And also how these things can actually be included into the digital health curriculum. And as we all know, Malaredi Vishwavidyapit has started India's first school of digital health. And we'll get to know all these things. But first, let us welcome Mr. Mujeeb and go all the way back into the past and know more about him. Welcome, Mr. Mujeeb.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. Thank you for having me here.
So, when and where were you born? So, if you can put a number or a year, that is, if it is okay with you, that would be really very helpful.
Yeah, thank you. That's a most difficult question to answer. The year of birth, which you can understand by seeing me, I look much younger than what I am really. So,
If you do not want to volunteer, we can still go forward. But at least where were you born would be really.
definitely, I born in a place called as Gooty, which is in Anantapur district in Rayalaseema. So from there, I started my schooling in railway school and railway college. My 10th class and 12th class was in railway school and railway college. Then I started my diploma in pharmacy in Ballari. And then I went to B.Pharm, which is in Tamil Nadu, and M.Pharm in Tamil Nadu. Consecutively, I did my master's in clinical research in Manipal. So that was my education journey. And then I started working with QPS Bioserve, which as a medical writer in way back in 2006. Then I started working with Accenture as a clinical data manager, and then I worked with Parexel as a technical trainer for CDM, PV, and medical writing. Then I started working with Oracle as a principal consultant. Then my last job as an employee was in IQVIA. I was associate director for IQVIA. Then I started my own company after that. So I had some 15 years of corporate experience. After that, I started my own organization, which is this Clinosol Research.
Well, thanks for that fairly long explanation and the long career that you have actually had. And you have been to a lot of these companies, and I'm assuming you are also well traveled. So, is there any particular area or a location that you actually like to go again, or which are the areas that you think is great to travel?
Yeah, I think I had multiple places and multiple languages, including Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and way back in Kerala also I was there for my studies and also a job. Definitely one place which I still feel like very cool and calm is Tamil Nadu, Ooty. So I repeatedly want to travel. The way the place is located and the way the climatic condition is happening and the way the people are very approachable and the food habits and the cultural Indian cultural still they have it within incurred with them. So I feel like I should one more time travel to multiple places in Tamil Nadu and also Kerala.
Well, you still haven't revealed your age, but my assumption is that we belong to a generation where at one point in time we are using these old telephones and then now we all have this smartphone. So we have transitioned through this. And there are a lot of computing or digital devices and workflow also that we have gone through these changes. So if I may ask, not your age, but rather if you remember what was your first mobile phone and your first bike, your first car, I think it would be good to know.
So I think by this questions you will understand my age definitely. There is no doubt about it.
It's not a triangulation by research, so we'll try that.
So I started using my first phone, everyone's dream phone, that is Nokia 1100. So where we used to play that snake games and all. So we used to use the telephone also, normal telephone, the button telephone, and then I started using Nokia. And my first bike was Splendor, and my first car was Maruti Swift. So I think I'm one who transitioned from the age of the normal phones to mobile phones, from the Walkmans to the cassettes to the round kind of a CDs in a movie like a VCR, and now the current technology, the latest advanced technology also I do use it.
Well, it's wonderful to know, and I'll kind of leave the viewers to guess the age, but we'll kind of move on. So you have been through these changes, and now we live in the so-called digital age. And how do you think digital health is going to change the way that we are living? How do you think it's going to change healthcare, and how do you think it's going to change clinical research also? So, in your opinion, how will things be 5 years or 10 years down the line?
Yeah, I think the definitions of different words have got changed now. The health definition has got changed now. Health definition itself is not must having any disease. It's about how physically, mentally, and spiritually and emotionally you are strong, and how best you can give it. So the meaning of the different words have been changed, and the people are looking at the outcome of the lifestyle and quality of life, and the more important, longevity with the quality of life is important. The one of the most interesting thing is more people are concerned about the health. That's a point number one, which we have to accept and understand, that how the health matters. Because if health comes in a problem, then all problems are the last. You don't have a financial problem, you don't have any other problem when health comes first. So then we started thinking that how best we can give the quality of life with the longevity to the patient outcome. Because patients are not the olden days that we go and tell them that okay, you take these drugs, you take these medicines. Now people have got so completely changed that what exactly they wanted, and if they are happy they will take or they will not take. So that's a more interesting story which is coming forward. And now the RX definition, previously we used to say that okay, RX is the prescription which we used to write, but now we are writing something which is called as DTX, which is called as digital therapeutics. A patient is not only given a medicine, along with the medicine, a software as a device is being given, and wearables and sensors are being given. Now, the way the health is looked and the way the patient is compliant to the medications, and he is taking his own vital signs, he is taking his own values, and he is reporting it, and the decentralization has happened. So, I would like to put a word that the more digitalization and decentralization and decarbonization is happening in healthcare sector, wherein you don't use papers, you have completely digital, and you also have the archival by cloud computing, and you analyze the data and utilize that data for exactly giving the treatment. And also doctor is making efforts, patient is making efforts, and pharma companies are making effort. So now the digital health, it's not just for the patients, it's for the benefit of a patient, that what disease he is getting and what data he is having and how he can make sure his health gets benefited. The doctors is using digital health so that he understand what diseases might occur and what lifestyle changes and what treatment has to be given and what predictions has to be done. The pharma companies are using the digital health, how the data can be interpreted and how what disease is going to happen and what drugs can be put it into the research. And also the government institutions are using the digital health data to understand that what is the public health issues which are going to occur. In a stepwise, if we understand, the digital health is going to change entire, and also it is now changing. So earlier days we don't used to speak about EHR or EMR. Now people have started speaking that okay, we need a EHR and EMR data, and we are using the digi health apps. You name it, we have it. Either it is digi help or digi yatra or your digi activities or whatever you have. You don't carry any documents, you just carry one number. You go to a doctor and you just give a number, and doctor types the number, he gets all the data, all digital health data, including EHRs, EMRs, and all necessary
That's
kind of
a great explanation, Mr. Mujeeb. In fact, like if I can quickly summarize what you mentioned, the previous idea of healthcare was broadly absence of disease. Now, yes, we need to definitely have that, but it is more about the lifestyle. It's the fact that I not only want to live without disease, but rather I actually want to live well. But even from the patient perspective, I want to know all those things, whatever is happening. And digitization, as you rightly mentioned, brings an element of convenience and better healthcare in terms of livability at almost every step, not just to the patient, but as you mentioned, to the doctor, to the larger health system. But all those things actually start as an idea. It needs to be tested, it needs to be validated. Somebody has to say that it actually works well. And our understanding broadly is clinical research is essentially what it is. So, what do you can you kind of explain the steps a little bit more in detail about what happens in clinical research?
Yeah, see, the basic of clinical research comes when we call it as when animal studies are being completed, then it has to prove its efficacy and safety in human beings in a smaller population, in a designed way, in a controlled environment, because we can't put it in larger patient population without understanding it's basically efficacy and safety. Now the story got twisted that we are not looking for the drugs, we are looking more interestingly devices, biologics, vaccines or cosmetics or nutraceuticals. We are looking at the larger molecules which cannot be copied, which cannot be made as generic. That's a point number one. Point number two is how best we can assess the endpoints. The efficacy was earlier just values, but now we got some biomarkers and how we can do it. The safety also completely got changed. It came into picture of serious adverse events and SUSARs and all those stuff came into picture. Now, when you came up with digital solutions for a patient, the testing of digital solutions in human being was a very difficult, because the testing of human beings in a new drugs is very easy. In a way, it is easy because if you give a drug to a patient and you identify that disease is growing or decreasing or increasing with the safety data points, it's good. But when you go for a digital therapeutics or as a software as a device, it's a very questionable thing that how is this algorithms are working, how is this predictions are being given, is this predictions are really working or not, and what is the percentage of mistake it can do it, and whether regulatory body will accept it for the testing and approval. These are all questionable things when during your clinical research we are conducting for digital therapeutics, or already we are discussing so much about software as a device. So now there are software as a devices which are being developed, like say for example there are AI system algorithms which are being developed to just you put in a ECG or X-ray, it understands as a data and it gives an outcome that the patient is suffering with this kind of a severity and intensity of a disease. But that is a software. How much is this the quality and accuracy and the integrity it is being giving? We really don't know.
So, you mentioned clearly two things. One is the so-called difference between RX and DTS. So, RX is the traditional I prescribe some medication, which, as you rightly mentioned, there is an existing pathway to test it and then know what's the endpoint. Now you have this DTS, which number one, there's no animal trials because there's no point testing the digital services on animals. But you also need the same answers, how well it actually works. So, can we use the same pathway of clinical trials to also validate how much of this works and how much of this does not work, or maybe not relevant to this workflow?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid question to be asked, that how scientifically we can show the evidence for the digital solutions. But the one thing is we are going in the same directions, including the ICH or EMA or FDA. They got some guidelines that how sensors and wearables can be tested. So it does not have any efficacy or safety. Definitely it can diagnosis. That's a point number one. And it can give that the path of the treatment is going, because real world data is being tested properly. Because once you start using the sensors or wearables, it gives a real-time data along with understanding the efficacy and also safety. And also it can identify the preventions or how we can make changes in lifestyle.
What data points would you be collecting when you are doing this?
Yeah, so I think this question is more deeper question. When we call it as a trial is conducted for heart attack, for example, then we collect the vital signs either by using a watch or a ring, where the vital signs informations are being captured, and there are apps which are being installed on the phones which can collect the complaints of the drug and also which can take further data of the patient. Because one of the bigger problem which we are facing is the compliance of the drug administration and also the real world data the patient is giving, where we are saying it's a decentralized, the patient does not need to go to a hospital and patient is supplying the information, and there is a doctor who is understanding and analyzing the data based on day in and day out. So I think the testing of this wearables and devices and digital solutions is definitely a challenging, but it's not impossible. It is, we are doing a lot of testing on it, but its efficacy and safety differs. Either it because a drug can be easily said that okay, my drug is having efficacy, disease is going down in particular age group or race group or gender group, and all those things we can directly say. But when it comes for a device, whether it is detecting correctly or not, because one wrong detection will be a big problem. We can come and tomorrow say that, okay, I'll take your photo and I'll tell what are your vital signs. but how best algorithm is working and what is the basic scientific principle of the algorithm and how, what
I
is the
think we can
difference.
even go one step before. When I say I'll take a photo, now what is that I'm actually taking this photo with? Because if I just use a regular camera or a regular mobile phone, there are hundreds of devices on the market, hundreds of different types of sensors, and all these things can actually impact the outcome. The algorithm may actually work in the lab, but realistically, when you start using them in a real life situation, these are all the challenges that actually happen. What is the background light? What is the quality of it? How close or how far you are actually taking the image? These are all unstandardized things. So you also mentioned this real world evidence and real world data twice in maybe in the last 5 minutes. What exactly is real world evidence, real world data? What are the standards that are being used to ensure that when we get real world data, it is of some kind of baseline quality or some kind of a good quality? And can we use similar principles or same principles even to source digital data?
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting question because the more data we are collecting and more answers we are getting and more predictions we are doing it. So once any device or a product, see, as you have rightly said that the quality of algorithm will differ once it comes into market. It bombards left, right, and centers because we might come up with so much of questions. See, they have taken my image and they have said that Mujeeb has traveled this places to collect this items, but they can plan that, okay, Mujeeb, wherever he goes we have to show this kind of ads. They can plan it, but there are multiple situations that what is a light, what is a, all those things will come only in one place, that's called as real time. The drugs what we are testing or devices what we are testing is very controlled environment in clinical trial. Once it is put in market, it can be misused, abused, overdosed, or it can be used in left, right, and center in different ways. We really don't know in real time how it has been going to be used. We might get positive and negative. We might get some new things. Say for example, best example is minoxidil. Minoxidil was tested on something else, but when it came into market, we understood it is giving a hair growth. Then we started thinking, why can't we use this? We started a watch just to see a time. But later on, the watch has become so advanced that we can collect the ECGs, vital signs, and temperatures and other kind of things. If suddenly I get a heart attack, how can I make this for a watch connected to an ambulance? That's the technology. That's the version which we are looking at it. Definitely, the real world data is a huge amount of data, but the condition apply is this are all unstructured data. How can we make this unstructured data to a structured data, and how can we draw a meaningful outcome? We can speak left, right, and center hours together, data, but there are two types of data, unstructured data and structured data. How can we this unstructured data made as unstructured data, and how we can make it as a prediction and draw some meaningful responses is something which is your AIML. So that's a very critical question to be answered. Real world data is very big in India because we have a huge number of population, and the outcome is based on how patients are using and what is the outcome of the patients, and more larger patient population in real world. But one thing which we have to say that we don't have a very particular regulations and guidelines to use for real world studies. We have NDCT rules for conducting your clinical trials. We don't have the real world studies to conduct in a proper controlled manner because they don't get paid. Patients that does not get paid, they just have to give the data and they have to go. But what is a question that patient will come and accept to give his data? Why should he give this data? So we doctor has to make understand that if you provide your information, we can draw some meaningful interesting facts, but that is something which you cannot force a patient to give, and patient might turn up and loss to follow up also can happen. So real world data is the future which can draw many
Is
answers.
there any publicly available databases that we can potentially have a look and learn this is good, this is bad, maybe we can make some changes?
Yeah, I think this is more interesting question. There are some available public informations which can be used for the data sets and use it, but the way Suresh sir is making this activity is the more skill development and more learning. So theoretically we have learned so many things, But practically, if demography data comes and adverse event data comes, efficacy data and algorithm data comes and human data, huge amount of data, not one patient. You look at 100 patient, 1000 patient, 10,000 patients, and all together you analyze, process and draw some meaningful understanding is the practical answer which we have to understand. We are not looking at one patient, we are looking at a larger amount of patient. How can we treat larger amount of patient by using digital solution is the more important answers.
Let's go back a little bit sideways into the discussion. What does your company do in clinical research?
Yeah, basically I have my organization is Clinosol Research, and we give a lot of trainings and a lot of uh, uh, recruitment for companies and also to the university. So we have Clinosol Research, which we train on clinical research, CDM, PV, medical writing and regulatory affairs, and we also give trainings to companies. I also work along with a couple of companies to develop their devices and also some digital solutions. I'm associated with one of the device which collects the human data, and first non-invasive device which can identify some organs working. Like say for example, I think most of us are speaking now more of patches which can give the glucose level. One more time, that is has to be validated. So I'm working similar kind of a device, how it can identify first non-invasive without taking a single drop of a blood. It gives a 42 amount of the lab values. So we are validating that. We are testing one lab values of the patient, we are testing with the device, and we are checking what is the variability of the information. If it is at least 60 to 70% it is good, then we are going and approaching the CDSCO to get it approval, because the initial assessment and diagnosis can be done without using a blood sample. So that's where we are trying to look into it, and I do a lot of digital testing on the human beings.
Well, I think that's one area that we can potentially collaborate and see if we can do a similar trial here also. Have you patented this idea or a device?
Yeah, I think the person who is doing this research has already patented this device. Earlier we came up with a kind of the other kind of a device, but now we have got into a watch. Now this is already been patented, and we are looking at giving this watch to two or three types of people. One is to the patients, where they can have the daily information, where the other is the doctor, and the other is the family physicians who can have it. So now patient will get multiple things. He can add his signs and symptoms, and he can add his daily routines, and it will give responses. It's like a chatbot. It gives the responses back to you, that what you have to eat, what you have to drink. More funnily saying, for example, if I wanted to have junk food today, so I can put my values or my data to the system, and it will give answer that how much junk food is accepted for you.
That
So
looks
that's,
like a great watch. Can I also have one?
yeah, sir, definitely we'll definitely have, and I would request you to focus on this kind of a research, because the way your university is growing and the way your school is developing, I would request your team can grow more digital solution for the benefit of the patients and also families, and also to the society, and the whole together India can become the next digital health solutions for us.
Yes, definitely. So perhaps, like as you rightly said, that's where our discussion is also going to go next. Um, we have started India's first school of digital health at Mallaradi Vishwavidyapit, and we have started bachelor's, master's, and doctorate programs also. There are a lot of things that are changing, and as you rightly said, a lot of things are not there in the curriculum at all. In fact, like if you would want to even pick up a textbook of digital health, realistically, it does not actually exist at all. So we need to do original research. We need to write up and publish all those things, write up case studies, and that in turn becomes the content for teaching. So, what are all the things that we need to start focusing on to our young students?
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful question, because the way Suresh sir also has came up with the medical background and all. So we would like to put this in this word, that the digital health is not one person research. It's an integrated research. You need to have four or five people together sitting in it. It includes your doctor, it includes your pharmacologist, it includes your engineer, it includes your life science, it includes your all people sit together, come up with their own requirements. Okay, we have the patient. Doctor says that okay, we have the patient, the pathway of the patient disease is this. And now the engineers start thinking that, okay, how can I identify this when this pathway is happening, and the pharmacologist and life science and statistician is coming up with huge amount of information and data, and all together develop the solutions. It's not one person research. I would suggest Suresh sir to look as an integrated research and look into the real time data, come up with a solution. The real time data, what is happening and which season we are getting more diseases, and what is that devices and wearables which we can develop, and how we can have a manless treatment to be given. So I think everyone is
supposed to be personless. Now we need to be gender neutral.
personless. Yeah. So how can we make this happen in this? So I would suggest Suresh sir to have integrated research with a real time data. Theoretically, we should not work
And
for
by
the
the way,
marks.
I'm not older than you that you have to tell me, sir. So I may not be older than you, so we don't have that data point. Please
so,
continue.
so now, so now what I would suggest is he has a lot of knowledge and he can put all the data sets together, come up with huge of information. So say for example, we are living in one area, say for example, ABC area. What is that particular diseases which is being searched in social medias? What is that the social media hashtags are happening in a particular disease condition? What is that the more problem prone diseases are happening? How we can safeguard the environment ecological system with the patients, and also making the prevention before the diseases is occurring. So the digital
You're actually highlighting a lot of important points. In fact, like these are all the analysis that can continuously keep running in the background and probably keep alerting us on a daily basis or weekly basis. And I think this would be a fantastic area where previously we used to have this so-called active surveillance. When a disease happens, then the hospitals or the physician has to notify the government. But now, with patients themselves searching for all these conditions and treatment on signs and symptoms, if there is any kind of a background algorithm that is actually running, then potentially they can actually serve as a forewarning also.
Yes. So I think there were so many companies who started working on this area where they have the hashtags to search, and then they identify which is red zone and which is green zone, and all those things they can identify. And as rightly said, we can identify the diseases before it goes beyond our hand as a public health problems. So now we can identify day in and day out the vigilance. I would have saying that one vigilance center in your university where they can cover so much of data collection and so much of understanding and giving this information to government, and making government understand, boss, listen, there is a big problem which is happening in this particular zone. More kidney failure patients are coming up. There are so many patients in Hyderabad, so many hospitals. How can we integrate the hospital data and look at what is the patient footfall and what is the disease footfalls, and which conditions and which drugs are being misused or abused, or how we can make it possible in a digitalized way, and digital health solutions, how we can develop. See, the prevention, the acceptance of the public health, and also the identification of diseases, and understanding about the drug efficacy, because we can't say that patient has took a drug and after 10 days he is not coming up. How real time data can be taken up, understand after giving a drug the device is collecting real time data and saying that disease is getting reduced or increased. So there are so much of points that digital health can take it forward, wherein we can grow so much.
Can you suggest other organizations in Hyderabad or nationally which are doing fantastic work that we can actually start collaborating with?
I think there are multiple organizations who are working on digital health, but more importantly, the biggest challenge which I faced, or I look at it in a the biggest challenge, is the costing is the one of the biggest challenge, where we can speak a big words in blazers and big conference halls, but how big we can have the economics into it. That's a point number one. The second one is adaptability. So we both can sit and speak for hours together that, okay,
I
by
think from an academic side, I'll start using the terms economics and the usability of digital health solution. And in fact, like this is also one big area of research where we need to first understand how much it actually costs.
yeah.
All this convenience and all this goodness actually comes at a cost, but eventually, when it reaches a lot of people, millions of people, the eventual cost might actually come down possibly cheaper than what it is. But then it's a eventuality. What does it actually cost today? And also, digital health solutions initially may not be that polished or that fully ready, which also means it is an evolving process. Even if you take Windows, it's probably in the 15th or 20th version. I'm not keeping count. So these things evolve over time, and at every step, there is also cost associated with it, and there is also new things that need to be brought in. So I think these are some of the areas that we can potentially collaborate and then start documenting it.
Right. So the bigger challenges, as already Dr. Suresh has said, that the first challenge was economics, the second challenge was adaptability, and third challenge is the evidence, how we can tell it to public. See, we both can speak multiple things and say that you use this device, you will get an outcome. But how the public gets a confidence and the usability and algorithms is really working or not, explainability is very difficult of digital health solutions. So we need to come up with a more papers and patent and more conferences and more sessions. I would request Dr. Suresh to hold more of this session for more pharmacists, engineering, life sciences, left, right and center to adapt to the digital solutions. So we still have to speak more that enhancing can be done, and also the explainability can be done. The fourth biggest challenge, I feel like, it's the privacy concerns. So we really don't know how this data will be used and where the cybersecurity people can attack us, our data, to take up our privacy data. So the digital solutions has to have the 4 or 5 bigger points. Either it is costing, or either it is adaptability, either it is your explainability, or either it is privacy concern, or either it is where is the regulations that they have really said that this device or digital health is working. So there are more things where we can have a lot of roundtable conferences, roundtable discussions, more bigger forums to discuss more things, where because we can jot it down point by point for a disease specific, for a patient specific, for a company specific, for an event specific.
Documentation
Is more, yeah, more important, because we both are speaking and I really doubt that the youngsters are still struggling to pass the exams with the percentages and all.
We think this is one way of documentation. We keep talking all the time, but realistically, there's also the fact that we are actually recording this and publishing this is one way that we can actually document. And I take it up as a yes, that when you said we need to talk more, that you will be talking in further podcasts, and we will also be bringing more of your friends to talk here. I think is that a yes?
Yeah, that's the right point, because the knowledge which has to be given, it has to be spoken more discussed, more understood, and have a debating discussions, understanding discussions, because somewhere we need to start and accept that this change is going to happen. You accept it or not, we have to accept that change is going to happen, and there is always a comparison between the future, that what might be the future. So as quick you can learn the digital health solutions and implementation of digital solutions for the patient benefit and also society benefit and the family's benefit, it is the best thing what we can do.
That's been a great and interesting discussion, although we still haven't been able to guess your age, but hopefully in future we should be able to do that. And we will not publish it because we also understand your privacy concerns. So it's been fantastic talking to you, Mr. Mujeeb, and we'll continue to work in the present and in the future also. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.